I'm Tiffany. I'm a licensed attorney and also a survivor of domestic violence. I'm going to share with you my personal and professional experiences to help you change the outcome of your case for good. We've been talking a lot about domestic violence and the law. Today, we are going to talk about how to prepare before filing for a domestic violence protective order. I want to acknowledge that domestic violence protective orders or protective orders are an essential legal tool, but preparation is key for both your safety and your long-term stability. We have a free gift for you today. It is my guide called Top Lies Abusers Tell. Click on the link below to get your copy of your free guide today. So one of the first things that we can do in preparing to file for a protective order or a restraining order, we talked a little bit about this on last week's session, and you can find any of the video feeds on my YouTube channel or also on the website at www.livefreelegal.com. And I would encourage you to subscribe and give us a thumbs up, but you can go back and watch one of the prior videos where we talked about gathering evidence. It's very, very important when you're in the home with an abuser or you're in the process of preparing to leave to be proactive. So gather up the evidence that you can while you're there. It is much easier to gather evidence when you're in the midst of an abusive relationship than it is to try to do it after the fact. So some things you can do would be document everything that's happening, document all of the abuse, taking photographs, taking screenshots of your text messages, saving voicemails, downloading social media posts. And again, I'd encourage you to go back and watch the prior video that gives you some other tips on best evidence to collect. It's very important to preserve evidence so that when it comes down to a he said, she said, and he's being really charismatic in court, you have got those concrete pieces of evidence that you can show to the court to say, hey, this abuse is really, really happening. It's also extremely important for victims of domestic violence to be writing things down. You need to be journaling and putting things on a calendar. There are so many moments in your relationship with your abuser where you think to yourself, wow, I am never going to forget this. This was so horrible. The problem is you're going to have so many of those moments that they all will start to blur together, and you're going to forget the specifics about the events, and you're going to forget when those events occurred. Also, there's a natural tendency when we're in these types of relationships to repress those memories. It's a coping mechanism to help us survive the trauma that we are experiencing. Over time, we actually start to forget some of the horror that we're living through. And so it's really important to be journaling or documenting some of what we're experiencing, because when we get ready to file for a protective order, we are in a crisis state. We're in a fight or flight mode, or we're going to be nervous. We're going to be potentially really agitated. We're going to be really emotional. And so when we go to actually sit down and write everything down on that petition or that complaint for a protective order, we're going to be like deer in the headlights. Everything's just going to go right out of our brain. And so it's very important, if you have everything in front of you, if it's been written down, you can go back and reference your notes and be like, oh, that's right, I remember that, I remember this happened. And it's very important to document things chronologically. What's the most recent thing that's happened? And then go backwards from there. What happened last week, and the week before that, and last month, and last season, and then last year. And do an entire history of the abuse you've experienced in your relationship, but try to go from most recent all the way back. And it's also important to be documenting ways he's abused other people or pets. So if there are children in your home and there are events that are occurring with your children, very important to also document ways that he's abused your children, when, what he's done, what the dates were, how your children responded. If there are pets in the home, personal property, things of that nature, be writing those things down because you are going to forget. While you're also in the home, it's very important to make an inventory of his weapons or firearms, because once a protective order is entered, his firearms will be confiscated from him in your home. I would absolutely go through the house when it is safe to do so, and not only count up, the number of weapons or firearms that he has so that you know how many are in his possession or in the home. But I would also figure out, where are they hidden? Where are they placed around your home? So that when law enforcement comes to remove them, you can tell them, hey, did you remove 15 guns? Or maybe he has knives or other types of weapons. And you can be sure that they've actually removed that number of weapons. And if they didn't, you can say, hey, he actually had 15 guns. If you only removed 10, that means that there's 5 remaining in the home. And then if you also know where they're located, write those down in a journal. Then you can let law enforcement know this is where he's hid them, or this is where they're located. If they go to those locations and they're no longer there, then they'll know that he has removed or hidden some of those weapons. That could potentially be a violation of the law, and he could potentially suffer some consequences. I actually had one case where husband took his weapons and he hid his guns in his golf bag with his golf clubs that were hidden in the garage. And so what he did was, after the protective order was entered and law enforcement left, he used the garage door opener in order to get back into the house without wife knowing, got into his golf bag and retrieved his guns. So very important to know how many firearms or other weapons are in the house. Develop an emergency plan. We've talked about safety plans a little bit. It's very important to know how to leave your home safely. Have an emergency bag or a go bag. Have essential items that are packed. Some clothing, important documents like passports, your driver's license, birth certificate, social security cards, medications, some additional money, items you may need for your children, especially if you have an infant or toddlers. Do you need pacifiers, formulas, diapers, things of that nature? You might need to have a safety plan for your children as well. Are there safe places for them to go in the event of an emergency? Do you need to teach them to hide under their bed or lock themselves in a closet, lock themselves in their room? Do they know how to call 911 or call grandma or a neighbor or someone for help? You need to also have a safety contact in your phone with a specific name on it. Have a list of emergency contacts so that when you're in crisis or you're panicking and then again it just goes out of your head, that you know who to contact. You've got them there in your phone, or there's a list. One thing that is very important to document is banking and finances. So if there's anything in your home that has numbers on it, so whether it's statements that are coming in through the mail, or he keeps a file cabinet or keeps some kind of office in the home, if there are any kind of documents that have any numbers on them whatsoever, whether they're retirement statements, bank statements, taxes, you name it, try to either make a photocopy, take a picture of it, create a list, say I found this Vanguard account with these account numbers on them. Write things down. It's very important to keep track of what is happening in your house financially, especially if he exerts financial control over you. Because once you leave, you're going to need to know, what are you entitled to legally with regard to division of the assets, or what is he making? Are you entitled to post-separation support or some form of alimony or maintenance? If he's hiding that information, secreting away from you, you're not going to know that unless you have some form of documentation or you're writing that down. I would encourage you to try to take out a credit card in your own name, not a joint card, not one that he knows about, but something that you can use in the event of a true emergency if you need to leave him. In some states, you can withdraw half the money in the joint bank accounts, or even maybe all of the money in the joint bank accounts. I would not encourage you, I would not suggest withdrawing the money in his separate bank account, so anything with only his name on it. I would not encourage you to do that. But if it's a joint account with both of your names on it, in most states you can withdraw half that money, so you can use that as a nest egg. I would highly advise you to seek the advice of an attorney in your particular state before doing that. I would suggest also setting aside cash if possible. So if you ever go shopping and you're able to take out some money from the ATM, if you ever have access to cash in any way, Potentially you have a part-time job or you are able to work under the table, putting that away somewhere that's safe, that he is unaware of. And I understand for some, you can't do that because he keeps an inventory of everything you spend and looks at all the receipts. But if there's any way that you are able to put aside some cash, it'd be really important for you to start doing that and have a nest egg of at least 2 to 3 months of living expenses before you file for domestic violence protective order. Know also that you can apply for state assistance, so start looking into some financial programs that are available through your state, like financial aid programs, housing assistance programs, food stamps, Medicaid, anything that might help you get your feet on the ground or help you with your children. Build a support network. Connect with local domestic violence agencies, shelters, domestic violence advocacy groups, and other family and friends. Let them know what's going on, so when you need to make a move and before you file, you have people that are surrounding you, people who will support you, and people who you can go to for help. Consider also getting into counseling and therapy. A counselor or a therapist is going to help you stay well grounded. They're going to help you remain objective and clear of thought during a time when things are going to get very, very confusing. They'll help support you and keep you strong when you're going through a really difficult time, because filing for a protective order can be a really scary and intimidating thing. But you can do it. I believe in you, and you have it in you, you're strong, you can do it. But having that additional support can be very helpful. Find legal support. Seek out a domestic violence or trauma-informed attorney that can help you navigate the protective order process and help ensure that your rights are protected. A couple other things you can do after the protective order is entered to make sure that you provide a copy of the protective order to your work, to the schools where your children go to the daycare where your children goes to make sure that they're protected. Just to know, protective orders don't always provide for emergency support. So if there are specific things that you need, for example, child support or spousal support or alimony, perhaps you need him to pay for the mortgage on the house, so you want to ask for possession of the home, but it may not provide for him actually paying the mortgage payment, or you need a car payment made. Perhaps you need some form of insurance. Maybe you need for him to provide health insurance for you and the children, or you need certain bills paid. Maybe you need the credit card paid off at the end of every month, or you need private school tuition. Think very specifically about certain things that you need. Ask for those things as a form of relief in your protective order when you go to court. And certainly custody for your children, protection for your children would also be a form of relief. But many times protective orders only come with no contact provisions, and sometimes they'll come with possession of a house, a car, children, a pet. But there are other forms of protection that are available in many states, and so you're not going to get those protections or those payments, especially financial payments, unless you specifically ask for them. It's very important. If there's something that you need, that you ask for it at that protective order hearing so that it becomes part of a court order. And then if he doesn't provide you with those payments, then that would be a violation of the court order or potentially contempt. We hope that you felt empowered today and that you will join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. We broadcast a video every Tuesday at 7 p.m. as we explore how abusers continue to abuse even after a protective order has been granted. We are really excited that we are launching our Live Free membership beginning in May. Now is a special introductory package. We have a 12-session package that's available for $35 per session, which is a special rate now through May 5th. We have a limited number of spots available. Click on the link below to get more information about the Live Free private 12-session membership package through one of our membership groups. Remember to give us a thumbs up and to subscribe to our channel for updates on upcoming videos. And remember to click on the link to get your free guide, Top Lies Abusers Tell, and get started on your legal empowerment journey today. I'm a licensed attorney in North Carolina. I cannot offer legal advice outside of North Carolina. The purpose of these videos is to offer general advice, not legal advice. I would encourage you to seek the advice of an attorney in your area if you need additional help. Remember, You were created to live free, not in bondage. Join us next time as we continue to learn more, support one another, and continue to move from fear to freedom.